Right now, your teeth are probably under attack. Not by a lion. Not by a spear. By breakfast. Maybe cereal. Maybe bread. Maybe coffee with sugar. Maybe a small snack that somehow became 3 snacks. And your mouth? It is running a tiny invisible buffet for bacteria. Every time you eat something sweet, soft, sticky, or full of starch, the bacteria on your teeth hear dinner music. They eat. They produce acid. And your enamel just sits there like, great, here we go again. That is why cavities feel so modern. We eat often. We snack constantly. Our food is soft. Our drinks are sweet. Bread sticks to teeth. Cereal turns into paste. Juice sounds healthy until your mouth realizes it is basically a sugar bath with good marketing. Then, when your tooth hurts, you panic. You chew on the other side. You Google the symptoms. You book a dentist appointment. And suddenly, you start flossing like a changed person. But now imagine that same pain with no dentist. No toothpaste. No x-rays. No painkillers. No clean white clinic. Just you, your tooth, and one sharp electric shock climbing into your skull. So here is the real question. If modern life makes cavities so easy, what about ancient people? Did they get cavities too? Or did they all walk around with perfect natural teeth, chewing roots, meat, and wild plants like prehistoric dental influencers? The answer is yes. Ancient people did have cavities. But the story is stranger than that. Because cavities did not begin with candy. They did not begin with soda. They did not begin with modern processed food. Tooth decay is much older than toothbrushes, dentistry, cities, farming, and maybe even Homo sapiens. A cavity is called dental caries. That simply means tooth decay. Inside your mouth, tiny bacteria feed on sugars and starches. Then they produce acid. That acid attacks the hard mineral surface of the tooth. At first, the damage may be tiny. A weak spot. A small pit. A dark place where food can hide. But if decay keeps going, it reaches the dentine. Then the pulp. The living center of the tooth, where nerves and blood vessels are waiting. And once it reaches that place, the tooth stops being a tool. It becomes pain. Today, that pain sends you to a dentist. In the ancient world, it could change your life. Because for ancient humans, teeth were not just for smiling. They were knives, grinders, clamps, extra hands. And when one tooth failed, it was not just a dental problem. It was a survival problem. For a long time, many people assumed ancient humans had healthier teeth because they did not eat modern junk food. No candy, no soda, no cookies. So maybe ancient mouths were perfect, right? Not exactly. Because archaeology has a way of destroying simple answers. Teeth survive when almost everything else disappears. Skin rots away. Muscle disappears. Organs vanish. But teeth remain. And inside those teeth, archaeologists can still read diet, disease, tool use, and pain. Your ancestors left stories in enamel. And one of those stories begins in Morocco. At Grotte des Pigeons, also known as Taforalt, archaeologists studied hunter-gatherers who lived around 15,000 years ago. These people were not farmers. They were not eating supermarket bread. They were not drinking soda. They lived before agriculture took over daily life in that region. And yet, their teeth were shocking. Researchers found unusually high levels of cavities. A lot of tooth decay. And the likely reason was not candy, because candy did not exist. The likely reason was wild plant food. Acorns, pine nuts, pistachios, wild oats, starchy foods that were gathered, processed, and probably stored. And that is the first surprise. Cavities did not wait for junk food. They did not even wait for farming. In the right conditions, even a hunter-gatherer diet could rot teeth. Because bacteria do not care whether sugar comes from a candy bar or a wild plant. They care that food is stuck near the tooth. They care that starch can become sugar. They care that the mouth gives them time. When sticky plant particles cling to teeth, bacteria get a feast. They turn carbohydrates into acid. The acid attacks enamel. And slowly, a cavity begins. So the first myth falls apart. Ancient people could have cavities. But that does not mean all ancient people had terrible teeth. The ancient world was not one diet. It was thousands of diets. Some hunter-gatherers ate meat and fish. Some ate roots and seeds. Some ate tough plants. Some ate sticky starches. And every choice changed the mouth. In some groups, cavities were rare. In others, they were common. There was no single ancient smile. There were many mouths, many worlds, many ways for teeth to fail. Ancient people also had another dental enemy: tooth wear. Their food was not soft. It was gritty, fibrous, tough. Stone grinding could leave tiny mineral particles in food. Ash, sand, and dust could get into meals. Roots and wild plants scraped enamel. Tough meat demanded heavy chewing. Every meal could become slow sandpaper. Over years, molars flattened. Edges chipped. Enamel wore down. Front teeth were sometimes used like tools to hold hides, fibers, sinew, or plant material. So ancient teeth were not always full of cavities. Sometimes they were simply destroyed by use. Heavy tooth wear could sometimes reduce cavities because flat surfaces had fewer deep grooves where food could hide. But if a tooth wore down too far, it could expose sensitive dentine. It could open a path toward infection. It could create pain without a classic cavity. A person could have few cavities and still have terrible dental suffering. A clean-looking tooth could still hurt. A worn tooth could still become dangerous. Then agriculture changed the rules. When humans began relying more heavily on domesticated grains, porridge, bread, rice, and other carbohydrate-rich staples, cavities became more common in many populations. Not everywhere. Not in the same way every time. But the broad pattern appears again and again. More soft, sticky, starchy food often meant more fuel for decay. Farming helped people survive. It gave them stored calories. It helped villages grow. But it also changed the mouth. Ancient dental plaque can harden into dental calculus, a mineralized layer stuck to teeth that can survive for thousands of years. When researchers studied ancient dental calculus, they found that the shift from hunting and gathering to farming changed the oral microbiome. In simple English, the community of microbes living in the mouth changed. The farming mouth became a better home for disease. A bowl of grain mush can save you from starvation, but it can also cling to your teeth. Bread can feed a village, but it can also feed bacteria. That is the trade-off. Farming gave humans more reliable calories, but those calories came with a quiet tax: tooth decay. And once a cavity started, ancient people could not treat it the way we do. At first, maybe it was just a small pain. You bite down and feel something sharp. Then it disappears. You ignore it, because ancient life was full of pain. But this tooth is different. It returns. It wakes you at night. Cold air touches it and feels like a needle. Hot food makes it burn. You chew on the other side until that side becomes sore too. You avoid hard pieces. You eat less. And in a world where calories are survival, eating less is dangerous. During winter, a journey, a drought, or a migration, one small hole in one tooth can begin to control the whole body. You sleep less. You chew less. You work slower. You become weaker. And if the tooth becomes infected, the jaw can swell. Fever can come. The pain can stop being private. Ancient people did not have modern dentistry, but they were not helpless. Archaeologists have found grooves on ancient teeth that look like repeated toothpick use. These marks appear in Neanderthals and early humans. That does not mean they had toothbrushes, but it suggests they were paying attention. They knew when food was trapped. They knew when a tooth hurt. They tried to clean the places they could reach. Sometimes, the response went further. In northern Italy, at Riparo Villabruna, researchers studied a human tooth from around 14,000 years ago. It had a large cavity, and the damaged area appeared to have been scraped and levered with a pointed flint tool. No drill, no anesthetic, no clinic, just a sharp stone point and a painful tooth. Someone appears to have tried to remove damaged material from inside the cavity. That is astonishing, because it means ancient people were not just suffering from cavities. They were sometimes trying to fight them. And in 2026, the story moved even deeper into the past. Researchers studied a Neanderthal molar from Chagirskaya cave in Siberia, about 59,000 years old. The tooth had a deep artificial hollow on the chewing surface. Microscopic traces and experimental tests suggested that a stone tool had been rotated or drilled into the damaged tooth during life. The researchers interpreted it as evidence of deliberate dental caries treatment. If that interpretation is correct, the story of cavities may reach into the world of Neanderthals. That is not primitive. That is human. So did ancient people have cavities? Yes, But the answer depends on the world they lived in. Yes, if their diet gave bacteria the right fuel. Yes, if sticky starches stayed around the teeth. Yes, especially when farming made carbohydrates more reliable and more frequent. But also no, not always. Some ancient people had very few cavities. Some had more tooth wear than decay. Some had broken teeth. Some had infected teeth. Some lost teeth and adapted. The ancient world was not a dental paradise. It was not a nightmare in every mouth either. It was a world of trade-offs. Tough food could grind teeth down. Soft food could feed bacteria. Farming could support villages, but make decay more common. Progress did not remove old problems. It changed them. That is why modern cavities are not simply modern failures. They are ancient biology meeting modern abundance. Today, bacteria do not wait for seasonal plants. They get breakfast cereal, bread, juice, candy, snacks between snacks. They get more chances than ever before. Your mouth is ancient, but your food environment is new. So when you feel a small shock of pain in your jaw, you are not feeling something new. You are feeling an ancient signal. A warning system older than cities, writing, farming, and maybe Homo sapiens. Your ancestors knew that feeling. A hunter-gatherer in Morocco may have known it. A farmer eating grain mush may have known it. A person in Ice Age Italy may have known it. A Neanderthal in Siberia may have known it. And for most of human history, that pain did not mean book a dentist appointment. It meant chew carefully, sleep badly, keep moving, hope the swelling does not come. Hope the tooth does not become the thing that slows you down. Because in the ancient world, survival could depend on fire, food, shelter, tools, and cooperation. But sometimes, it could also depend on something much smaller. A single hole in a single tooth. So yes, ancient people had cavities. Not because they were modern, not because they were weak, not because they ate candy, but because teeth, food, bacteria, and pain have been locked in the same battle for longer than civilization has existed. The tools changed. The diets changed. The treatments changed. But the battle was already there. And every time you bite down and feel even the smallest flash of pain, you are touching a problem your ancestors understood long before they had a word for dentist. If this changed the way you see ancient life, like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories about the strange survival problems hidden inside the human past.